All right, before we get to the important stuff, we're going to start with some other important stuff. First, you should be and could be starting out a winter drinking Sure Bet coffee. SureBetCoffee.com. Not only is the coffee great, but you could help horses along the way with every purchase that you make. Sure Bet coffee. I drink it. It's delicious. The tumbler is fantastic. The hats are fantastic. And a worthy cause for sure, number one. Number two, Amwager. Check out their platform. Well worth it. Great wagering platform. All kinds of tools geared for the better. Hopefully, that is you. Game of Silks. If you're not playing, why? Phenomenal. Play to earn. It's the future. Embrace it. Check it out. Silks.io. Get in the game. Derby's coming. We know that. Tracking trips. If you're not a member, you gotta hate money. Build up that Derby bankroll. 2 for 2 at Keeneland yesterday. Not so good at Aqueduct, but 2 for 2 at Keeneland yesterday. Much more to come. Last, not least, our Oaks Derby seminar. Grab a reservation on PassTheWire.com. All you got to do is show up. We'll do all the work. Oaks, Derby, full analysis, selections, plays against, you name it. Check it out. Everything is in the announcement that you will need to know to make a decision. Why wouldn't you attend? It's a no-brainer. Now, we'll get to the show on Past the Wire TV.
It's poetry in motion. Big horse, but light on his feet. And he's always showed up and been consistent and been right there with some of the top horses in training. In the Bluegrass Stakes, he showed his determination and his raw ability.
It's over! Zandon wins the Toyota Bluegrass!
I feel breeders will be really blown away by what a striking, outstanding looking horse he is.
Register now for the 2024 Past the Wire Kentucky Derby Seminar. In-depth analysis of every horse, contenders, pretenders, live long shots, and more. The Kentucky Derby Seminar on PastTheWire.com. Reserve your seat today. Remember, nobody does it better.
Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Past the Wire TV. Tadhg O Shea, fresh off a monster win in the Dubai World Cup aboard Laurel River. Thank you for coming on the show. A pleasure to have you.
No problem. My pleasure. Anytime. Pleasure to be on.
You know, you've got a little bit of an interesting background, and correct me if I'm wrong. You won the Apprentice Championship in Ireland, correct?
Yes, that was a while ago, way back in 2001. And at the time, His Highness, the late great Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, kindly sponsored an all-expense trip paid to Dubai for the champion apprentice of that year, which thankfully was me. So, yes, it all stemmed from there.
And you stayed, correct?
Yes, I stayed. I've gone back every year since. So it's been an amazing place, and my wife Debbie and my 2 kids are basically have grown up in Dubai, and we spend like 8 months of the year there.
And not only did you stay, but you won the UAE Champion Jockey title a dozen times. Is that correct?
Yes, thankfully this season was the 12th time winning it. So look, it's been a tremendous place for me and my family. As I said, my kids have grown up there. It's we used to call it our second home, but we spend more time there now than we do in Ireland. So yeah, very privileged and blessed, really.
Well, let me ask you, it had to be interesting because, you know, you're an apprentice jockey in Ireland. I would imagine back then that your goals were to become a successful rider in Ireland and maybe the UK. Probably not envisioning, you know, becoming a 12-time champion in Dubai. So what was that change in your life and that culture shock, if any, What was that like back at that time for a young up and coming rider?
Yeah, I think the timing of the Dubai season worked great because I'd 7 or 8 good years in Ireland and along and possibly the same in the UK. But when things obviously the Dubai seasons start from November to March. The turf season had been over in Europe. They normally finish up around October. So from a time frame, it worked out brilliantly. And there was a time you'd be so busy riding in the summer in Europe, and then you go to Dubai for the winter campaign. But in the last 5 6 years, especially, I've really concentrated on Dubai. I go there a bit earlier than most other jocks, and I probably stay a bit longer. So as I said, it's the racing is fantastic there. It's world class. The prize money is amazing. The horse population, it's getting stronger and growing all the time, and the people in general, the Dubai people, and they're really passionate about horse racing out there, and it's in their blood. So it's grown and grown every year since I've first started there in 2001, and it's on an upward curve for sure.
It's a fascinating place, Dubai, and the racing has since the inaugural Dubai World Cup, it has steadily just grown in stature. Even when it was no longer the richest horse race in the world, it was still always one of the most prestigious. So, what was it like for you to, after being champion jockey and having so much success in Dubai, to finally get that World Cup on the resume?
Yeah, look, it's amazing. As I've been as I said, I've been extremely lucky in Dubai, and thankfully, numerically, I've ridden more winners than any other jockey there. So to win a Dubai World Cup, it's just kind of, it's I know it's an old cliche, but it's stuff of dreams. It's really topped off. My achievements in Dubai, and hopefully have another few years, few seasons, and healthy and happy seasons there. But to win a Dubai World Cup, that was only my third ever ride in the race, so I know how difficult it is to ride in the Dubai World Cup, let alone win it. And I'll be forever grateful to Juddmonte Farms for keeping the faith in me, one, and keeping me on Laurel River. They could have used, there was only 12 runners. They've won Group 1s all over the world. They could have used any jockey they wanted, and any jockey in the world would love the opportunity to ride a horse of Laurel River's ability. So I'll be forever grateful to the Abdullah family for keeping faith with me and keeping me on the horse.
Were you at all concerned before you got the call to ride him that you might lose the mount to another rider? Because they've got relationships with top riders all over the world.
Yes, I didn't really know what to expect. It was their first time having a horse for a full season in Dubai. So obviously Laurel River, his first race coming off a long layoff in Dubai. I think he'd been off for 18 months. He was the hot favorite in there, and I think he ran 7th or 8th. But we knew it was only a starting point for us, and we'd explain to the owners and their racing managers, etc., that whatever he'd done the first day, it was always going to be the next day, which you'd see probably the true Laurel River. So look, again, I'll be forever indebted with them. As you said, they could have used any jock in the world, So for them to keep the faith in me, and I'd ridden the horse quite a lot at home, and I think everybody knew that, and I had a lot of faith and a lot of belief in the horse. So then to go and win the Burj Nahar so impressively, yes, I still didn't know really what was going to happen, because again, that was a big race in its own right, but it wasn't a Group 1, and they were unbelievable really, just to keep me on the horse. And as I said, the rest is history, and thankfully it was an amazing result.
Let me ask you, is one of the toughest parts of being a top rider, and you're the top rider, in Dubai, is one of the toughest parts that uncertainty when big races come around? Especially, you had won the race prior, but sometimes you lose, and it might not have been the ultimate goal. It might have been a prep race. You might not have had a good trip, but you lose on a horse that is pointing for a bigger race. Is one of the toughest things that you guys have to deal with, is that uncertainty of not knowing if you're going to lose a mount for the big day?
100%. It's hard to get on these top horses, and it's even harder to stay on them. There was there's horses I've won on their previous starts, and I've been taken overlooked on the next day for a different jockey, be it a retained rider, which is obviously that's the way it goes, or not even a retained rider. Maybe someone else has a relationship with the owner, or rides for the owner, and I might have won a horse in the past but can't stay on it in the future. So it is a tough game. It's there's an old saying, and a very true saying, you're only as good as your last winner. But I suppose it keeps us all on our toes, and keeps us focused and keep us going forward, and make sure you never rest on your laurels, I suppose.
Laurel River, good name. Good thing there. You didn't just win the Dubai World Cup. I mean, you really won it with an exclamation point. As a fan watching the race unfold, I mean, it's easy for me, armchair quarterback. You're sitting on the couch, watching the race, and I'm watching you ride, and I'm like, this race is over. They're never going to catch this horse. What was going through your mind? Take me through the race after like the first quarter, the half, 3 quarters. When did you know for sure that they were not going to catch you?
Again, thanks to the owners, I was under no pressure. We'd made a plan. Laurel River's a horse that likes to go forward in these races, albeit he hadn't ran the 10 furlongs before. But on his maternal side of his pedigree, there was loads to suggest that he'd stretch out. So again, there was no pressure put on myself or his trainer, Mr. Bhupat Seemar, from the owners. Like they were super cool, and they just said, do your thing, ride him as if he's going to stay, which you kind of have to do on the dirt anyway. You can't get too clever on the dirt. He's a horse that likes to go forward. He's a very genuine horse with a lot of pace, and there was no pressure put on me, as I said. So I went out there kind of super cool, and just hoping. I just said to Boop, but I said if I can get into the top of the stretch on the bridle, I says it's going to take a very good horse to beat him on what he'd been doing on his homework. I remember the previous Monday, his last 4 furlong workout. I said to Boop, but I said, look, I can't tell you now what we're going to do next Saturday night, but all I can tell you is he's the best horse. He's the best horse I've ridden by far and away.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But look, listen, you can never be too confident going in. This is a top race, and make no mistake, it was a top renewal. And any of the 12 horses in there, nobody would have looked and said, how did that win, or how did this win? They all had the right credentials to win the race. But, he was just, Laurel River was like, after the Bergenahar, it's almost like he improved again, which he was entitled to do after his layoff. And, I said, Bhupat, his trainer, and myself, to chat the Monday previous to the race, and we were both like, when I said, look, he's the best horse I've ever ridden, and Bhupat said, well, look, I've never trained a horse to do things as easy, and the fractions he was cutting around Zabeel stables, it was kind of like pinch yourself stuff, but you didn't want to go in too confident or cocky, for another word. We were just, we all were enjoying the build up to the race, and we just hoped that the Laurel River rocked up in the same form he had been in the morning workouts, and thankfully for all of us, he did.
He did, for sure. Now, we had Bhupat on the show, and he spoke a little bit about, the future plans for the horse, and he was kind of, uncertain, but he did mention that the Breeders' Cup was a possibility, as was, trying to win the Dubai World Cup again next year, or maybe both. You have any insight or inclination that he may wind up in the Breeders' Cup?
I actually don't know any future plans. I'm due to meet Bhupat actually this week. Bhupat is currently traveling to the UK there's a breeze up sale, so I haven't discussed plans with Laurel River. I know Bhupat was having a meeting with his owners. I'm not I'm not sure what are the plans for him. I think everybody was just enjoying the moment and enjoying the race. But I jokingly said to Bhupat, wherever he goes, I pray Tadhg O Shea is on his back.
Tadhg O Shea should be on his back. You deserve it. You made a pretty good team. Let me ask you this. You've had enormous success in Dubai. You've had success in your own country. Any thoughts? And we've seen Antonio Fresu come over here, and he's had enormous success here in the States. He's riding a contender in the Kentucky Derby this year. Any thoughts or plans or shot that we may see you a little bit here in the U.S.?
Yeah, funnily enough, I was originally going to go to California like 3 years ago, or it could have been 4 years ago for Doug O'Neill, and his assistant Leandro at the time approached me in Dubai, and one thing or another, I don't know what came up, but it didn't happen. But I kept the door open, and then Antonio obviously went there and has done amazingly well, and he's a very good friend of mine, and obviously we were big competitors in Dubai, and especially going for the championships. He's a class rider and a class fella. So yeah, look, listen, I'd love to go to stateside one day, and look, if the opportunity arose, I'm actually due to go to Japan in a week's time for an 8-week riding stint, so that's a first as well. So that's quite exciting. But yes, I'd love to go to the States and give it a go sometime if the opportunity arose.
Interesting. Let me ask you this, and maybe there's really not a good answer to this question, and I apologize, but I'm just trying to get a feel for it. But as someone who's ridden all over the world, okay, is there any differences you can point out between riding in the UK, riding in Japan, riding in Dubai, riding in different parts of the world? I mean, is it just, like taking a car on a racetrack? It doesn't matter where you are, or are there differences in styles and competitiveness and rivalries and things like that?
Yeah, look, I watch actually a lot of American racing because there's a lot of racing in Dubai on the dirt, and the American jockeys are second to none on the dirt. So we never stop learning. I think like anywhere in the world, the turf races, be it Dubai or Europe or wherever, they run at a little bit of a slower tempo at the beginning as opposed to the dirt racing. So I think you got to be a bit more aggressive on the dirt. And I do like watching the American jockeys, and little things that make big differences, like getting them to change their leads at the right point of the race, and things like that. So yes, it's certainly different, but Dubai gives you a great variety of international riders. They're from all over the world. They come for World Cup night, but we've got a lot of we've got European riders, American jockeys come over, obviously, for the big meets, and so we've a big international flavor of jockeys, if you like. And yeah, it's certainly the turf and dirt is different. As I said, you got to be a bit more aggressive on the dirt, and no better to watch than the American jockeys at that.
Interesting. Now in Dubai, are the riders treated like in other countries? You have a lot of athletes that are treated like stars. I've always heard it's a little bit that way in Dubai.
Dubai's amazing. Even the supporters, the race supporters, they get behind the jockeys, as you say, and even they get behind the owners. There's a huge following for the racing out in the country, and it's all credit to the Sheikh Mohammed and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed and his family for getting to Dubai to where it is now. And it's not stopping either. The beauty of Dubai, it's always changing, and always changing for the better, and getting bigger and better. And the World Cup night is just a prime example from that. Participants, horses, riders, jockeys, owners, trainers from all over the world want to be there on the last Saturday in March, and it's it's amazing place, and it's amazing to be part of the story.
What's it like living there as opposed to living in your home country? Is it a culture shock? Is it a different way of life?
Well, it's one thing I could take out of it straight away. It's a super safe country. You know, myself and my wife Debbie have reared 2 kids out there, and sometimes you get a little bit spoilt there because you know you can let the kids wander off to the mall or go and get an ice cream and whatever, and you never have to worry. Or, you know, I. I have a bad habit of leaving my car unlocked when I come back to Ireland, but my wife keeps reminding me you can do that in Dubai, but you can't do it in Europe. You know,
You
it's
can't do
super.
it in the U.S. I'll tell you that.
It's a super safe place for family and people in general, and again it's all credit to the Maktoum family, the way it is. I think people feel safe there. Anybody that goes to Dubai on a holiday, they are nearly guaranteed to return, and everybody has the same good feeling about the place.
Now, let me ask you, the you know, jockeys, you guys are rivals on the racetrack, okay? Super competitive, but you share the same locker room, dressing room, jockey's room, okay? What's that dynamic like to be such competitors on the racetrack? And then, I mean, no other sport do the competitors, you know, soccer, football, baseball, any sport you want, they don't share the same locker room. You know, they all go into their, you know, own locker rooms. You guys don't. What's that like?
Yeah, look, it's an amazing game in many respects. You know, as you say, we share cars, going racing together and whatever. But I think the best way to explain it is it's racing, albeit it's a worldwide business or whatever. But the racing community, all it takes is something to go wrong with, be it a jockey or a trainer or something, and the racing community just they just rally around. It's just a very close knit family, I suppose, is the best way to explain it. You know, we're big rivals on the racetrack, and there's not an inch given here or there, but off the track, a lot of jockeys are good friends, and that, and you know, safety is very important as well, and everybody knows, you know, there's a lot that can go wrong. So you know, I think, you know, people in general, there's if things do go wrong, racing is like a family. Basically, it's a close knit community, and everybody rallies around and pulls for each other.
Now, to be a successful rider, I would say you have to literally be fearless, okay? Because we all know it's a dangerous game, and we all know that something can happen in a split second. No matter how good you are, sometimes there's just no time to react. How do you maintain? What is it in a rider's DNA, okay, and in his brain, his psyche, that is able to maintain that fearlessness, that just go out every time and give your all and just block that out? How does that work?
Yeah, I suppose it's like anything. You got to love it to do it, you know, or to get longevity out of anything, you got to love what you're doing. It's possibly no difference in a rally car driver, as a jockey or whatever. You know, we know there's gonna be mishaps, and we, you know, things like that. But it's like anything. It's look, people call their you know, their jobs, it's work. I don't look at it as, yes, my job is to be a jockey, but I don't look at it as a job. It's my passion. And again, you know, once you're passionate about something, of course you're going to keep going back at it time and time again. So look, I'm very, very lucky fella. You know, as I said, I don't call it work. It's my passion, and my biggest hobby, and it's, you know, I'm thinking about racing 24/7, and you know, I'm intrigued with pedigrees and everything. So I'm getting paid to do something I love. So look, I suppose to answer your question, yes, there's trills and spills and everything, but you know, obviously, if you're very passionate about something, it'll get you through the bad days or the slow days, and that's why you got to enjoy the big days when they come.
No question. Is there any rider that's been extremely instrumental in your career in helping you, or somebody that you've looked up to and emulated when you were young, that you're like, you know what, I want to be like him, I want to ride like him, or somebody that's kind of taken you under your wing, you know, under their wing, and kind of been a big part of your success?
Yeah, as a kid, obviously growing up in Ireland, Mick Cannan was a multiple champion jockey, and you know, Mick Kinane for me at the time had no equal, or certainly in my eyes. You know, I used to watch races. He'd be riding all over the world, be it the States, be it in Melbourne Cup, be it in Europe, Dubai. And for me, like he just had that wow factor. And I suppose when I started going to Dubai, Frankie Dettori, you know, obviously I've rode with him for many years out there. But again, like Frankie can rock up to any country and just fit in. You know, there were exceptional talents, and obviously Frankie's still doing amazing things stateside as we speak. You know, so I suppose Mick Kinane was the first, and then obviously got to know Frankie quite well from his time riding in Dubai, and you know, two exceptional talents. So if you're looking at those two guys and try to be 1% as good as either of them, you know, they're two amazing talents.
You know, one thing everybody that rides in Dubai or trains in Dubai or has the opportunity to visit Dubai as a horseman always says is that the facilities and the way they treat the horses is second to none. The accommodations, everything. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because one of the issues here we face in the States right now is aftercare of retired horses not being all it can be. You know, certain barns and areas run down, neglect, not having the right amounts of money put into them. And we deal with that in racing in the States on a regular basis, and we're trying to fight it and make progress with it. But in Dubai, I don't believe that to be a problem. And you know, everything I've always heard is that the facilities are really just unbelievable. Can you talk a little bit about how horses are treated in Dubai and what the facilities are like?
Yeah, certainly. You know, the attention to detail that the horses get there is second to none. And again, as you said, it's the facilities. You know, we have spas, we have swimming pools, we have water treadmills, we have everything out there. And you know, again, I think it goes back to like anything. It's the people that own the horses. The Arab people, as I said, horses are in their blood. So obviously, you know, they really they're attached to the horse. You know, they're part of the horse, and it comes out in their ownership. You know, when horses retire or they finish racing, you know, everybody rallies around. There's life after racing campaign out in Dubai that everybody just wants the horses to, you know, be it a low grade winner or, you know, a Group 1 horse. You know, there really are people that rally around and try get all these horses looked after to the best care possible and let them live out their full retirement. But with horses in training, that, you know, you got to see it to believe it. We could talk about it all day, but it's amazing facilities. Not just my stable of Bhupat Seemars, but all the stables like Ernst Artel, who I ride the Arabian horses for. You know, the facilities are second to none, and the horses. I remember people visiting Dubai and coming to the stable with me one morning, and I suppose a pal of mine turned around, and it's the right way to put it. He says, when I die, if I can come back to be a horse, I want to be a horse in Dubai. It's just like 7-star treatment. You know, it's an unbelievable place, and yeah, the facilities are second to none.
And you've been fortunate enough to be there for a while, where you've watched. I'm assuming the development of the city itself, because the city has, you know, continually evolved. I mean, I haven't been there in many years, and I'm told I wouldn't recognize it now if I had gone back.
No, it's amazing, and again, it's the vision of Sheikh Mohammed. You know, he wants Dubai to be number one, and you know, he doesn't stop on one project. You know, Dubai, I find it fascinating. I come home every year to Ireland in like end of April or could be early May, and I go back out there in September, and you know, in that short space of time, something has changed, be it a new road or a new building is going to start or a skyscraper is going to start. Listen, these things can't happen without great leaders and great vision. And I think, you know, Sheikh Mohammed has shown that time and time again. You know, he strives to be number one in everything he does. And his city is no different. You know, it's just, it's ever evolving and always on the improve.
Now, let me ask you this. If we go back in your career, okay? And I asked you, tell me a race to watch that you rode, okay, where you think you made the difference. Okay, something you did, a move that you made, something, a decision that you made, spur of the moment, made the difference in the outcome.
Well, probably in Arabian, and the reason I say that it's going back, probably 12 or 13 years now. But again, the late great Sheikh Hamdam bin Rashid Al Maktoum, he had an Arabian at the time called Santal, and albeit I used to ride plenty for Sheikh Hamdam when he's retained riders weren't looked elsewhere or had 3 or 4 in a race or whatever. But this Arabian, you kind of had to know him, and he was a bit of a tricky character. And we won the Maktoum Challenge, which was a Group 1, but I literally pushed him for the full 10 furlongs of the race. And Sheikh Hamdam was a very knowledgeable person, and he said to the trainer, which I didn't know at the time, he said, there's a race possibly no other jockey would have won except the jockey that was on him, which was me. So it was big credit and big praise. And I think what he meant was I knew the Arabian so well, and he was a tricky customer. His name was Santal, but if you gave up on him, and even the trainer said to me, he said, Ty, you know him well. You might have 20 lengths to make up turning in, but don't give up. Keep trying, keep pushing, whatever. And yeah, it was an amazing race. He was literally. He was off the bridle the full way, never looked like winning, and then wore him down in the last quarter. And it was great praise to get then, of His Highness. And I ended up going back the following year being his second jockey, probably on the strength of that.
Do you still get a gold whip for winning the Dubai World Cup?
You do. Thankfully, I didn't know what you really got, because I was always watching it from the jocks room. But yes, you do. So that's going to take pride and place in my apartment in Dubai.
Okay, nice frame going on the wall, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's nice frame, nice picture of Laurel River, and an amazing night. And I must say, we're us as a family, we're still pinching ourselves. Fine. I'm just waiting to wake up, and thankfully it all happened. And just looking forward to whatever is going forward with Laurel River. And he's a horse with huge talent, and it's going to be exciting wherever he goes.
Well, I hope you wind up with a couple more like Laurel River, and I hope that we get a chance to see you here in the States, maybe at the Breeders' Cup or one of our other classic races. I think that it's safe to say you've earned it with a dozen championships in Dubai against an extremely tough and international jockey colony, and then winning a race like the Dubai World Cup the way that you did on a horse like that. So if it's not Laurel River, I hope that it's another horse, but I definitely hope that we get to see you here in the States. And thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It was a pleasure to meet you, a pleasure to talk to you.
No, many thanks. And listen, thank you very much for your kind words. And let's hope next time we meet in person, and hopefully I can get one over the line stateside.
Yeah, no, for sure. Listen, I wouldn't rule out them making a decision. Juddmonte likes to run. You guys might be at Del Mar come November. So listen, they're an amazing organization. As I said, wherever he goes, I just hope Tadhg O Shea is on him. I'm pretty sure that you've earned it, and that you will be on him for sure. So,
many thanks.
Okay. All the best, safe travels, and we'll catch up again sometime.
Many thanks, and look forward to it. Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye bye.
You have to pay attention to Past the Wire TV. Nobody does it better. You don't break your maiden first time out. That way, if you can't run with it, we'll take a look at him and see if he looks in his first start at a mile as professional or more professional than Dornuch did. I think this was to sit off a couple of horses, sit in that stalking spot, like you said, that second flight, and make a run. and I think he's got a lot of room to develop.
Hasn't missed a workout either. Looks like.
I think he's sitting on a huge race, and anywhere near 4-1. I'm all in on Sierra Leone. Any move forward puts him square in this race, and Catching Freedom for Brad Cox was my top choice here.
So I think this race is going to set up very similarly to the Risen Star, except I think Catching Freedom will be the one storming late down the center of the track.
We should be looking for ways to beat the favorite in a large field. I think Resilience has been running against the top end of Derby contenders. I am on the one, Resilience, as my top choice.
I'm going to use him in my exactas, and by default, because if he really improves, I have to use him on my multi-race wagering. It's the 11 Society name.
Chad Brown gets him ready, and he's no slouch when it comes to a trainer, as it is.
For sure. All right, so Sierra Leone for me, Sierra Leone for you. Just kind of always been around it. Antonio Fresu is an excellent rider. I'm on Stronghold in the Santa Anita Derby.
They're off in the 2023 First Crop Sires Race. Maximum Mischief makes the lead with the most 2-year-old maiden special winners by any sire. On the backstretch, Mitoli and Omaha Beach close the gap with stakes performers from coast to coast. Vino Rosso finds his best and leads on the turn with 4 Grade 1 colts on dirt. But it's Mitoli with his 3rd TDN Rising Star, your champion freshman, leading an impressive Spendthrift Superfecta.
With new DRF All Access past performances. With one best-in-class product, you now get all 3 past performance formats. Go to drf.com and use coupon code 1FREEPP for a free single card today.
Mini, a top 10 first crop sire in 2023, standing at McMahon of Saratoga. 14 first crop winners, including My Shady Lady, winner of the $500,000 New York Stallion Series 5th Avenue Stakes, Grade 2 winner Winstock, and Stakes winner Solo Shot. Solo Mini, the 7th leading freshman sire and the only top 10 freshman sire with a Grade 1 or Grade 2 winner. He sired a $700,000 2-year-old at the OBS April sale. His juveniles sold for nearly 6 figures on average, more than 12 times the stud fee. Solomini, a controversial DQ from being a Grade 1 winner by 2-time Horse of the Year Curlin, standing at McMahon of Saratoga Thoroughbreds. Sure Bet Coffee. Put the giddy up in your cup. Tracking trips with Pick 6 King Jon Stettin. It's one of the best tools in horse racing for any level of player. It's your second set of eyes, spotting troubled trips, betting angles, track trends, horses to watch and favorites to fade, 10 figs, ticket structure, and more. At Tracking Trips, you're a friend with benefits. Not a member? You must hate winning money. Join Tracking Trips now. Visit pastthewire.com and we'll see you in the winner's circle. Remember, nobody does it better.
Does it better.